Good day, everybody. It's your sweaty and dirty host, live, well, not really live, but almost live, from Grenada. And we went to the mailbox today, and you know what? We got another question of the day. Very happy about that. Here it is. QOD number 2. He wrote it on a napkin, and I don't know why, but I guess we'll sort that out. Anyway, let me read it to you. This is from Scott from Independence, Oregon. He writes, Dan and Sarah, I really appreciate your videos. Thanks, Scott. And I really liked the first question of the day that featured Dan in a Speedo, of course. But I'm even more interested in your human waste. Come on, Scott, really? I know you've been promising to explain how your composting toilets have been working for a long time, and I'm just dying of curiosity. Would you just get off the pot and get her done? Signed, Scott. Yeah, Scott, I'll get off the pot and get her done. All right, so let me take you outside and I'll show you where it all begins. Composting 101. It's very hot and sweaty today in Grenada. All right, so I'm out here on the dock. There's the dock. And we bought a bag of peat moss at the Ace Hardware store, which is really cool because almost every island that we've been to out here has at least one Ace Hardware, and they've got just tons of good stuff. Anyway, there's our composting material. You can use peat moss, you can use coconut fiber, just about anything that's fine and then biodegradable will work. And what I do is I take it out of the bag, of course, and then I put it in pre-measured plastic bags. That way when we need to fill up the solids tank with the composting material, it's all pre-measured in the plastic garbage bags ready to go. So that's the first step, and I'll take you inside right now and show you the rest of the process. Well, in a few minutes, I'm gonna get cleaned up. So I'm gonna make my way back to the boat, but first I want to show you this. This is our new Bimini frame. The canvas isn't up, but there's Sarah, but there's the Bimini frame, and it's just solid as a rock. Very happy with it. It's bigger, it's better. You could practically hang off the thing. It's just solid as can be, and they did an outstanding job tying it into the old existing Dodger there, and then they got it tied in with backing plates. Really well done. Got a few little modifications to make as far as making it fit perfectly, but they'll be back this afternoon and get her finished up. Pretty happy about that. All right, I'll take you inside in a little bit as soon as I get cleaned up and show you the inside of the toilet. Well, I mean, not the inside, but you know what I mean. All right, back on the boat, getting things sorted out. That's where I store the bags of composting material. And I got the rugs down, getting things put back together. We got some Garth Brooks playing. Not too shabby. Here's our refrigeration. Working pretty good. We got to get those bottom two down to about 15, but they've been coming down all day, so that's good. The cabinet is not right. It's still a different shade, a little more brown and less orange. So we're gonna have them work on that. Anyway, let's get back to the QOD. All right, back in our area. Composting toilets. Okay. So a marine sanitation device, or MSD, takes water in from the sea and flushes it through the toilet bowl and then either into a holding tank, which is below the boat, or over the side of the boat underneath the water. And big problems with that system. One, the hoses are only about 1.5 inches in diameter, so your urine actually will kind of calcify the sides of the tubes and shrink that tube over time. I've seen one on this boat that was about less than the diameter of a dime, and you just can't flush anything through that, much less a big old turd. So the hoses have to be replaced every 7 to 10 years because of that, and because they get permeated and they stink. The holding tank stinks. When you flush it, it stinks. The bacteria in the seawater mixes with the bacteria in your body and creates this horrible odor. They're just the most disgusting devices ever invented for a boat, the normal marine toilet. So we wanted to do something different, and we found out about these composting toilets and they're super simple. So there is no plumbing at all. There's no plumbing going underneath the boat. That hose right over there is nothing more than an air hose, and it brings air in through the bowl over the top of, actually it comes in over here on the side. It comes in on a hole over the solids and then out the tube and down, and then it vents over the side of the boat. And that's the only hoses, and that's only for air, so there's nothing to break. Everything else is contained right here. So this is the urine tank right here on the front, and then on the back side over here is the solid tank. And the idea with the composting toilet is to separate your liquids from your solids. And believe it or not, that's easily accomplished. Here's the bowl, and when you sit down, there's a lip right here and then 2 holes here. So when you urinate, the idea is to squirt your urine right here in these holes, and it just gets diverted down through the tube into the liquids tank. Anything that happens to go on this plate, which is right over the solids area, will drip down over that plate under this lip and continue into the liquids tank. So that's that as far as liquids go. The solids is a little bit different story, and you can do one of two things. The amateur or newbie on a boat, I would suggest that they do this. They put a piece of coffee filter material over the hole. All right, you got your coffee material there, you sit down, your solids hit the coffee material. Anything that happens to be liquid that gets onto here will go through the coffee filter and into this liquids tank. All of your solids will sit right there, and then you open up the trap door, boom, like that, and the weight of the solids will push this down into the solids tank. That's if your aim isn't good. If you're like me and you're an expert in composting toilets, you can just sit down, open it up, and hit the hole. Isn't too difficult. And then, of course, you urinate over here and defecate over there, and then in the hole is peat moss that I just showed you. And after you're done, I don't know if you can see it stirring, but there's a stir handle over here. You just crank this handle a couple of times, and it'll stir the solids into that peat moss material. And believe it or not, there is no odor. There's absolutely no poopy odor whatsoever. I've had this thing ready to change, used it for a month, and you can literally put your nose right down over that peat moss, and it smells earthy. Doesn't smell nasty at all. I'll be right back. Somebody's knocking on the door. All right, good news. So somebody knocked on the door. We took care of that. But the great news is that we're going to do a little continuation of our composting toilet, and Sarah has agreed to sit down and show us how it works.
No, you need to back away.
Uh-oh. I'm apparently backing away.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
Bye-bye.
She said no. I don't know why. Okay, so this video is longer than I thought. So they have agreed to take these doors off, re-sand around the edges. They're going to replace this piece and get a little bit more red in it. So you can see the difference. We don't expect perfection, but we want it to match. Pretty darn close. Okay, I'll be back with the toilet in a minute. Okay, Captain Poopy back with you. Finish this up real quick. Okay, so you have opened her up, let your solids go down, stirred it up. Like I said before, we can last about 3 or 4 weeks on the solids, and then you just take the top off, and then take the tank out. And if you're inshore, you don't want to dump that overboard because that's yucky. We just put it in a plastic bag and throw it in the trash, and then it ends up in the landfill, which is good for the landfill. The downside with an MSD or a normal marine toilet is they pump their poop over the side of the boat all of the time. And I can guarantee 99.5% of these boats out here are pumping their poop all the time, right over the sides. Which to me isn't very good. This seems like a better way to go environmentally. So that's that. And then on the solids tank, this gets filled up about once a day. So I just take this out in the evenings. It just comes out of there. And I dump it overboard, rinse it out, and it's good. Urine is actually sterile. so it doesn't really harm the environment. Certainly not as much as the feces. And it never smells. This thing is completely odor-free. Every once in a while we've noticed just a little bit of urine smell, so we just take a little spritz of Pine Sol and spray in there 2 or 3 times a day, and it just keeps it fresh and nice and odor-free. So that's it. That's the primer on composting toilets. Each one of these units was about $1,100 delivered, and we think it's one of the best investments we've made on the boat. They seem kind of weird at first. People are like, oh no, composting toilet on a boat, but they work really well, and we're pretty happy about it. Anyway, I hope that answers your question, Scott, and if anybody else has any questions, send them in. We'll be glad to answer them. As always, hope you guys are having a good day. Cheerio for now.